what is life coaching for business owners?
So elaborate on it a little bit for
Okay,
me.
so for example, I work specifically with military spouse business owners. I think the immediate thought is, oh, she's a business coach.
Um,
And so, and I don't have an issue with that. I
mhm,
have businesses, and so can coach on business topics. And I do, but
mhm.
not through the lens of what a lot of people think. So a lot of people hear business coach, and I think what they really think is like a consultant.
Mhm.
Or there's another word that's not coming to mind, but business coaching is not consulting, it's not advice giving. So when somebody says coaching, it's the mindset work around whatever it is that you're working on for the most part. You can dive into strategy a little bit, but you're really taking off your coaching strategist. That was the other word. So
Mhm.
you're really taking off your coaching hat when you start talking strategy.
Yeah.
So when I say business, I think a lot of people are automatically going to assume, oh, business strategist, business consultant, we're going to get into the hows and the,
How to
nuts
run
and
a
bolts of
business.
building a business. And that's not specifically what I do. Can I talk some of that when I take my coaching hat off? Yes. And still, that's not what I focus on. So
Okay.
I come from the position that personal development is development for everything. It is business development. It is relationship development. Personal development is going to develop all of the other areas of your life. If you get stuck in business, you're very likely stuck personally. So you're
Mhm.
likely stuck mentally and, perhaps imposter syndrome. Maybe it's not as intense as imposter syndrome, but something more like self-doubt, which, I've talked about. It's not the same thing. I've actually done videos on that, so we can share that in the description if people really want to know what the difference is. But like imposter syndrome, self-doubt, people get stuck around because maybe they haven't set boundaries, maybe they're approaching overwhelm, burnout, stuff like that. And so when we get stuck in business, a lot of that stuckness is self-work that we need to do. That is what I do.
Mhm.
So if you are afraid to show up on video, if you don't think you're the kind of person who's going to see the level of success in your business because you've got imposter syndrome running, that is what I do as a life coach. We work on the mental hurdles. And of course, you read and know that I use somatics. So like we do a little bit of work with the body as well. But for all intents and purposes, it's um, the mental stuff and then the identity stuff, which is a little bit more than mental, but um like that's the difference between what I do as a life coach for business owners. So I do it so that you can run a successful business, the business that gives you the freedom and the flexibility while you're supporting your service member and making your home go round, making the world go round for everybody in your family. But you can't do all of that if you've got mental blocks and if you've got doubts about your ability to do that. And so that's where life coaching comes in for business owners.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree. I think that, and I was just telling my son this. So he's almost 16. He is extremely interested in entrepreneurship. And so I was saying to him, that sometimes it takes people longer to succeed in business because life's hurdles will slow them down, and that and as a kid he just does not, he does not get it. But I was just having this conversation with him that, like, yes, of course people on the internet show you like it's so great, it's so fancy, but life is hard, and that it can really push you down. And when you're trying to run a business and raise a family, these personal hurdles can really slow your business down. And oftentimes you'll hear or see somebody kind of stepping back from their business. And it's usually because their personal life
Yeah.
needs some attention, and they need to do a little bit of reflection on that, and then they can come back to their business, full,
Yeah.
and to really attack it. And that's where we're often making our pivots, right? And we're pivoting, and we're pivoting again. And it's because of that growth. We're growing, as a person, and we're able to actually pivot and grow. And then our business is able to grow as we grow. And I think that that's important to know, because when I first started, I've talked about this before, where my coach at the time, she was a business coach. But
Mhm.
I think that a lot of business coaches have that, they understand how important mindset, and that how important it is. And so even though they're not life coaching, they understand how important it is. And so they will lead with a lot of that mindset work. And
Yeah.
so, she just, was kind of educating me on how important it was. And so, we kind of started off with that stuff, and it really was foundational for me,
Mhm.
and it helped me open my eyes a lot, because it wasn't something that I even understood at all.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's the thing about most coaching is there's always, I mean, physical fitness, right? Health and wellness coaching. Yes, you're making shifts in your eating or movement or exercise habits and routines or whatever, your lifestyle. And also, none of those are going to be permanent if you're not doing the mindset work on top of it. So that all comes along with the coaching, even though we don't call it life coaching, it's health and wellness, it's business, it's career, so on and so forth. There's always um, the aspect of the mindset work that's going to go into it.
I will say that too. So right before I started my business, one of the things, so I had my son and my youngest, and I started this like work at home, like workout program, right? Because at that point I had two very young kids, and I was like, I need to get back in shape. And I loved her program because it was like, lifting weights. And at the time I was living in California, but I really couldn't go back to the gym. One, I couldn't afford it, and two, like I had an infant, and so I didn't want to leave him with anybody. So I'm like, I want to lift weights again, but I need somebody to like teach me, like, or not teach me, but tell me exactly what to do. Right. So
Yeah.
I joined this program, and it was really affordable. It was like $20 a month. And she had like a club that went with it. And so inside of the club was like a little membership. And mind you, this was back in 2010.
Mhm.
So this was a long time ago. And so this was a brand new type of style of things. There was nobody else really doing it. And so inside of this little membership, she had, in addition to the monthly workouts that she was providing, there was so much mindset work inside of there. She was
Mhm.
promoting you to journal about your feelings. She was almost every day talking about affirmations, and doing, like, stretching and other things that were like really mindful things, like, can you, sit and reflect and do all of these things that, at the time I didn't realize, like you said, were even related,
Yeah.
to anything. And so in hindsight, it's so interesting how a lot of coaches, even outside of life coaching, will weave that stuff into their businesses,
Yeah.
because they know how important it is. And like, no matter what it is, it is foundational.
Yeah.
It's super important.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. And the thing is, we all have saboteurs, we all have fear patterns, and if we don't know what those things are and we don't know to pay attention to them and know how to recognize them and identify them, then that's where we start to get stuck. And it can feel much easier to just kind of slide back into old habits because they're the known and so they're comfortable. And then, of course, though, that derails you from your goals and your dreams. And at some point in life, if those things were important enough to you, which I'm guessing they are, if you had, taken the chance to pursue them, you start to kind of get this regret around not having followed through. And that sucks. People shouldn't have to do that. So it's my mission as a life coach to make sure that you don't get stuck and backslide on creating the business that also supports the lifestyle that you have as a mom or a military spouse or even like a military spouse retiree. I'm also an army veteran. So like,
Mhm.
I understand these things and the unique challenges that come with them. I have experienced them and I have come through them, and gratefully, because I got certified in coaching. I went through a program of myself. I got coached. And so I know what it feels like to have the tool. I know what it feels like not to have the tools and to feel stuck and to feel hopeless and to feel frustrated. And like, can somebody just throw me a freaking lifeline? But I don't really know who to ask. Right. And I also know what
Kinda
it feels
trying to,
like
like, work through it yourself and nothing is happening.
100%.
Yeah,
And then I also know what it feels like to be on the other side where, yes, I still get stuck. I have the tools to bring myself through. And sometimes when I can't bring myself through it because it's just really freaking heavier and I'm just in a difficult space, I have the people that I can reach out to that help. Like I have my own coach because I believe in coaching that much.
I think it's super important, like, for people to understand. And I agree. I think that a lot of people don't realize how impactful that mindset work is on them.
Yeah.
I've said it 1,000 times that, if you're not right, then your business is going to be affected.
Yeah.
And that's really true. And I'm like, if you have issues, then you need to work through them because your business is going to be impacted. And that's so, so true. Like my business has been impacted 1,000 times by my personal life.